Where are the mics? All right. There you go, sir.
Will you sing to me again?
No, I won't. I got hit by the same bike today. Every time I come to Morning Star, I get
So he actually
struck by
hit
the
you,
same
yeah?
bike.
So I have to pay up.
It's a vicious cycle. Yeah, that didn't warm the crowd up at all, did it? No. All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Scott Glue, and this is...
My name's Dave Newen, and for the last decade, and Erin, and Nina is...
Coming later, probably. Maybe.
Probably.
We are all entrepreneurs, startup founders, and we run Morning Startup every 2 weeks, rain, hail or shine. We get everyone together, as many people as we can. We put on an interesting talk or a presentation around the startup space. So hopefully if you're starting a business or looking at starting a business or in that kind of vibe, you get some good value out of this, or at least get to know other people doing the same thing. But the first thing we like to do is shameless plugs and announcements. Does anyone have any shameless plugs? Okay, this is your time to shine. Roman, awesome.
Hi, I'm Roman. Lately I've been doing a bit of customer interviews for a couple of our projects. And right now I want to talk to founders, so business owners who want to leverage customer interviews for their advantage to improve their product or service. And I'd love to share and bounce experiences with you guys. So if anyone is interested in that topic, please let's talk after the event. Thank you.
Very important work, getting your customer interviews right. I like it. Good job. Hey, with a bonus.
Yes, hi, I'm Emily and this is Max. I'm here to reintroduce Vendorly. Vendorly is a CRM that is built specifically for the mobile vendor community. So think food trucks, coffee vans, face painters, that sort of thing. Vendorly eliminates all of the back and forth between event organisers and mobile vendors. which saves countless hours, leads to better jobs, and it also helps councils with their compliance across the industry. So we've been building this platform for about 9 months, and we've been testing with our first users recently. But now it's go time, so I'm here seeking your help. If you are in or adjacent to the event industry, or if you know of any great vendors, or if you're just interested in what we're doing, then please come speak to me afterwards. Thanks.
Woohoo! Awesome. Vendely. EY, not Vandelay like the Seinfeld industry. Yeah, cool.
Anybody else want to give a shameless plug?
Awesome. One down here.
Morning, everyone. I'm Avi. I'm an author, so I'm about to start blog and series of podcasts. For the past 5 years, I've been in the philanthropy space, in customers' experience, operations, finance, and partnerships. So I'm starting my entrepreneurship journey. I'm looking for partnerships. I'm building my personal branding as well. And it's my first time here actually, so this is a leap of faith, as people say.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We don't bite.
Welcome. Thanks for coming. Have we had another one? Oh, another 2. Great. Okay.
Hi, I'm Carly from PBF, Paraplegic Benefit Fund. We're a charity. In case you want a charity of choice for your startup, please choose us. We have also a team running for the HBF run. Actually, they will be wheeling themselves for 3 kilometers. And we give meaningful employment to people who had a spinal cord injury, to do peer support at Fiona Stanley Hospital spinal ward, and also give safety presentation in the workplace for the mining industry and the construction industry. So charity of choice, PBF, thank you.
Brilliant. There's one here.
Hi, I'm Russell from Pod 2, where you can host once and distribute everywhere. So whether it's a podcast, an audiobook, or music. We just signed a deal with, or about to sign a deal, I shouldn't say, with The Orchard, which is owned by Sony Music. So we'll be able to get musicians out to 250 music shops and retailers. So if you are a creator wanting to do anything in the creative space, come speak to me. I'm ready to do a deal.
Fantastic. Who's doing a podcast or on a podcast? There's a couple at the back. Who's a musician? But, making stuff professionally, want to gear down? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, me too.
Anybody else? Shameless plug? One in the back there. 2.
All right.
Gentleman's first. Let's go here.
Hi, this is Kamal from guyplusyou.com. Since last 10 years, I've been doing 3D scanning, 3D printing. My background is mechatronic system design. So if you guys need physical product design, prototype design, if you are building, then I can assist on that. So my company mainly focuses on 3D printing at the moment. And if you have new ideas that you would like to collaborate, I can help you doing 3D printing, and I can make a model for you. Thank you.
Terrific.
Okay, there was one more. There you go, sir.
Good morning, guys. My name is Jeremiah. I'm a fitness consultant by trade. My background is civil and structural engineering, but I'm in a whole different space now. So I'm actually looking for a technical co-founder in the IT space. I'm getting into a SaaS project, so I'm currently looking for someone who's in that space just to work on something crazy. Thanks.
A CTO.
What's the project? Do you want to share that, or you want to keep it?
I don't mind.
Go on then.
So the project, in a nutshell, it's a digital economy that enables users to exchange skills for services. So pretty much getting into a space where we have Web3, and we pretty much have a space where we have people who are able to share not only skills and services and products, but having that all on one platform. So it eliminates all the bureaucracy that has to take place physically. So I'm actually someone who's more of the business acumen, but I'm looking for someone or a team of engineers who are more on the technical side of things, just to kind of make things work.
Got it. Very cool. Awesome.
Quick question. Has anybody played with any of these AI tools yet? Cursor, Lovable. They're great. If you haven't and you want to create an MVP, go to lovable.dev. Absolutely brilliant tool.
Lovable.dev.
Lovable, Lovable. Come and have, there's a couple of seats down here.
It's like V0. It creates your whole app for you.
Oh, literally, you type it and then you go, you have to chastise it and go, no, you did this wrong, and it will go back and it will do it right. But I've got to be honest, it's Yeah, and then you give it to the dev team, and they pull it apart, but
they
they're jealous.
make it secure and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
exactly.
Yeah,
but
cool.
it's amazing for creating an MVP. So if you are
Absolutely.
creating your new, like you want to just test, so like in your instance, you're just about to go out and test the market that you've got a product, go and use these tools. They are absolutely amazing.
100%. And then you can actually come to pitch your startup in 2 weeks' time, April 23rd. So, in fact, Jeremiah, I believe you're on the list. You're going to do a pitch in 2 weeks' time? Yes. Looking forward to it. Cool. So the deal is you get 3 minutes, and then we'll have a couple of minutes of Q&A from the supportive Morning Startup audience and Dave. And so if you're interested, just contact at morningstartup.com. We just need a short description of your startup, and we'll put you on the list. We've already got 4. And we'll probably try and get 6 to 8, depending on how it goes. So,
I wonder why I don't get invited to these events anymore, because I'm the miserable bastard that's going to tell you how it is.
That's right. Everyone needs a good ripping every now and then, right? Okay, Founder Sundowner is the first Wednesday of every month. So we just had one last week. It was really fun. And so come along next time in 3 weeks. For everyone that's not a morning person on the live stream, just rolled out of bed and thought, but you still want to network, come along to Founder Sundowner. Did that. Okay.
Massive thanks, and I understand they're changing the name, but we will call them JITSI, the Department of Jobs, Tourism, Science and Innovation. We'd like to thank them because they stream this. I watched this a few weeks ago when I was in our Sydney office. It was great to watch Scott in big lifestyle Scott. Massive thank you to them. If you don't know what they do, they're responsible for programs like Innovator of the Year, the Extend Waves, and other ones. They're the ones that helped us bring great VCs like Purpose Ventures here to WA, although they are WA based, but help them get up and running. So a massive thank you to the New Industries Fund for that. I do understand they are changing though, is that right?
Yeah, I think it's the Department of Energy and Economic Diversification. Is that the new term?
Is it going to be like spell out something like Doge or something like that?
It's Deed. It's just not as cool, but never mind.
And also just check out Deal Room. So if you haven't checked out Deal Room, go to wadealroom.co. You'll probably, if you are a startup and you've got some sort of presence, you might be
there without
you might be there without knowing.
Yeah.
So
cool. But I think the New Industries Fund is here to stay and
100%.
Probably improving as well. So that's where, as a startup, they'll give you the Innovation Booster Grants, which is $40,000 for a cool idea, essentially, and then $200,000 for the Commercialisation Bridge Grants if you want to scale up, and a range of programs. So get around it, New Industries Fund. Thanks for live streaming.
Yeah, and I got to just say, just on that, because we don't really talk enough about the governments and that and what they're doing, is that they really have sponsored the ecosystem recently in the last few years in getting us to where we are now, especially with the grants and some of the great work they're doing in streaming it and that.
100%. So, get around it. The live stream that we mentioned is done by the fine folks at perthvideo.com.au. If you want to check it out, go to Morning Startup Perth with hyphens. But also just, if you need anything live streamed, they're your people. They'll go out to remote places and find internet and get the live stream looking smicko. So get on them. Thank you very much.
It's worth noting, if you go to that URL, you'll get 2 things, and all of the previous events are streamed on there. People I have conversations, and they're saying, I'd love to know how to do this. I'm like, go here. We had Derek Gerard from Purpose telling us how to get venture ready. We had so-and-so from here telling us how to do X or Y. There's lots of content on there, so go and consume it. It's great, and it's got all the information you need.
Yeah, if you miss a morning startup, it's always ready to go here. Awesome. Just a few people to thank because they help us with food and coffee and all of that sort of stuff to make sure you guys are caffeinated and fed at this stuff. So Ammo Marketing, thank you very much. Check out their marketing services at ammo.marketing and subscribe to the Weird Growth podcast if you're not already. Grab out your podcast player and they do interviews with founders and startup folk in Perth. It's a lot of fun. Where is he?
Do you want to give us any kind of real snippet?
So Glenn runs a company called Beecham Group. They're a recruitment company here in Perth. So if you need talent or you've got talent and want to get it out there, talk to this guy. And he also does some really good little 30-second insights. What's new?
All right. In the theme of paying it forward, this is my little tip hack for today. Most of you guys will get a phone call at some point from a graduate asking for some advice, wanting a job, etc. too. It's not an area that we can help in, but I strongly recommend you try and pay it forward. Now, pay it forward is if you can't help, try and point them in the right direction. for all of them to get a little bit of a heads up, right? Because as the digital community grows and our world becomes more technology enabled, you need these people coming through the grassroots. Unfortunately, the Australian Computer Society and our support for, without picking on them, needs some help. So point them in the right direction of the ACS. They do have programs where they can provide insurance and so on and so forth, so you can hire them for 4 weeks. They'll give you a bit of a program for them to run. And secondly, just have a look at their profile, maybe on LinkedIn, or offer to look at their CV or something to that effect, and try and give them some little nugget and support, even if it's just to get back to them to say, sorry, we're not best placed to help you, maybe try this, do that, or something else. It really helps, and they'll remember it. And remember the old boomerang analogy, if you pay it out nice today, hopefully it'll come back and look after you in the future. So that person that you spoke to 3, 4, 5 years earlier might be your next hire that you need at that time.
I love it. Love the tip.
I'll just add to that as well. Is don't be afraid to take that chance on that person. So if I look at our staff, I can name 5 of them who we took a chance straight out of graduate and gave them that kind of first thing, and they're probably one of our best employees.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to kind of give someone that go.
Yeah. You don't need the bit of paper if they're a bit hungry and want it. Yep.
100% hunger. Jesse, if you're watching, thank you very much for the food. It's very nice. Today we have hot cross buns and we have croissants with ham and cheese. So we do appreciate it. But if you haven't, Keepspace, if you haven't heard of Keepspace, Keepspace is a 3PL provider. Who's here in e-commerce? Surprises me there's not more of you in e-commerce, really.
It's usually
no one's
Brad
got a
selling
spare, Shopify shop on the side making money for you.
Anyway.
Oh, it's an opportunity. But anyway, if you haven't, Keepspace, they do the sort of fulfillment for you. You put all your stock with them. When the orders come through, cha-ching, they will ship it out to you. But thank you, Jesse, for sponsoring the breakfast for us here this morning.
Thank you very much, Lee.
Okay.
Peppers Ventures.
Who wants
to tie in with these guys? I'll let you do the pitch.
Oh. Who here thinks they're ready for investment? That surprised me. I thought, okay.
All right.
Okay.
VC investment.
So, WA, we've got our own VC, which is Purpose Ventures. There are a few others, to name a few, but the best one, and I'm slightly biased to Purpose, for full disclosure. They did invest in our company. But yeah, if you are looking for investment, then check out Purpose Ventures. Derek, Kylie, and Kirsty here in the team, and Marcus and that are all great, and they'll give you advice to get you to that next stage. I would recommend going back to Perth Video and scroll the way thing. I think it was like February the 26th or something like that last year, where we had Derek basically tell you, and I've been over East and I've sat in these kind of things where Derek has pitched it and did the same presentation, and the investors all the guys have come up and girls come up and gone, that's one of the best presentations we've ever had, because he just tells you how it is on how a investor thinks, that they're monitoring you from the second that you walk through the door, the way that you email, and how you handle yourself. So great video, go and watch it. But thank you to Purpose for sponsoring the coffee. So if you haven't had a coffee, pop down to Joey Zaza's and grab yourself a coffee.
Awesome. All right, we're running a bit late, so we'll just fly through these, I think. Space Cubed, we're in a place called Riff. This is owned by an awesome company called Space Cubed. We've got a few here. Hello, she's the CEO. Anything new in Space Cubed world that you want to shill?
+8 starts +8 bootcamp this week. Who's applied for +8? Hands up.
Hey, all right.
Good luck.
Jeremiah, get
Good
on
luck.
+8.
So, just quickly, if you haven't subscribed, Startup News, subscribe. Startup WA, massive advocates. Go and again look at their site. And +8 is the accelerator. If you didn't get in on the deadline, which was the 30th of March, too bad, so sad. But you'll get them next year, and there's other sprint accelerators as well.
All right, cool. Anyone wants to scan this QR code, you can chat with a little bot and say, hey, I'm in AgTech or whatever, and it will guide you to the right place in the WA ecosystem. So it's a handy little tool put together by the fine folks at Meshpoints, I believe. Cool. I'll let a few cameras scan the code. Got it. Cool. Get in touch with us. We're Morning Startup and all the things. If you want to do a talk one day, contact at morningstartup.com. But definitely join the Slack channel. So we want to get as many people in here having good discussions as we can in between morning startups. Come and have a chat. There's people there, but we're not really getting chats going. So get in there and initialise some sort of conversation. That'd be cool.
I'll get in there and be a moody bastard and start to get people talking.
Excellent. So slack.morningstartup.com or that thing will take you to the invite page, I believe. Cool. And that is formalities out of the way.
Oh, we got a laugh!
Yeah.
Yes! We got a laugh.
It's not getting old at all.
We've only been doing that joke for 2 years. We finally get a laugh.
All right, well, we need to sit down and shut up and actually put on the main show here, which is a fantastic panel which has been kindly assembled by Steve, and I think Kirsty was involved even through the craziness of the last few months, I imagine. But a whole bunch of bloody do-gooders that actually think doing good in your business is good for business. So it's not just virtue signalling, we're giving away to charity or whatever. It's, actually helps the bottom line and a range of other things, a range of other benefits. So I'm looking forward to hearing from this panel. So please make them welcome the panel.
It would be easy if you were to sit underneath your names.
It's not obvious. It's going to really muck it up by...
Just
so Lindsay can remember our names.
Is that still on? I'll give you that.
Just flick it up. That's the one.
We'll really mess with you by sitting in different spots. So thanks, Scott. Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a great morning so far. My name's Lindsay O'Sullivan, and I'm COO of Keystart, at least till the end of April, when I won't be. But I'm also a director of Space Cubed and a director of Steve's company, Vive Group. So lots of different connections here. So thanks for coming along today. We've got a really interesting panel discussion. My job is to facilitate some questions. So I've got some set questions for everybody, and we'll have a bit of to and fro amongst the panel, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A, and hopefully your job today is to obviously look engaged, look interested, look like you're really enjoying the discussion, and try and come up with some interesting or tricky questions for the panel, and go as hard or soft as you like. So thanks very much. First of all, I'll introduce the panel. I'll start with Louise. We're very blessed to have Louise Baxter here. Louise is a inspiring and authentic leader with deep experience across commercial and for-purpose sectors. She's currently the CEO of Starlight Children's Foundation. She's also director of Stanford Australia Foundation and the Community Council for Australia. Louise has extensive experience in the corporate world and FMCG, marketing and advertising, and has been a startup founder herself. So welcome, Louise. Next, we've got Steve North. Steve is the founder of Vive Group and is managing director. He's got 20 years global experience here in Australia, the UK and the States, and experience in building and scaling startups, leading high-impact tech and strategy projects, and backing innovation that delivers both commercial outcomes and social impact. You'll also hear about Steve's path in philanthropy. Steve is also the West Australian president of Starlight Foundation. We've got Matt Pergo's 15 years experience in heavy equipment, manufacturing, and 8 years of small business ownership. Matt blends strategic thinking and hands-on get-it-done mindset, which all entrepreneurs need to have. Driven by a genuine passion for business and its functions, he focuses on people and purpose to deliver sustainable growth and lasting success. And last but not least, we've got Zoe McAlpine. Zoe runs her own business as an executive coach, business strategist and facilitator with significant experience developing high-performing teams and driving growth. She was the head of fundraising for Starlight and then also CEO of the Breast Cancer Care WA for almost a decade. Now runs her own consulting practice as well as sitting on the board of the Rottnest Foundation. So if we could all do the normal welcomes. So just to warm things up, we're just going to start with a really quick, it'll be like a quick question. Well, quick question from me and hopefully a quick answer from you guys. Otherwise, we're going to be here for, we won't get into the really meaty stuff. So what I'm really interested in understanding from each of you, and maybe take turns, I'll start with you, Steve, and we'll come back through the panel, is what is your earliest memory of giving back?
I can't think that I was on the street sort of doing lemonade stands or anything like that, but when I was at school, it was a very small country school, it was 75 kids for the whole of primary school, so there's 20-ish students in each class. And we would have a thing called Harvest Festival, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but let's go away from its pagan roots. It was a very, very good way of giving back to the community. So that was my thoughts of giving back. It was a way of us being able to grow things at home, things like that. We would take it to the Harvest Festival and give it to those people in need. So that's kind of my earliest memory.
Thanks, Steve.
Mine's one I'm sure lots of people here will be familiar with, Red Nose Day at school. As a very young child, that was a big thing every year, raising money for families.
I grew up in a household where we were very blue collar, not wealthy at all, but we were always raising funds. My mum and dad were always raising funds. There was always bottles of wine being delivered from friends, etc., so that we could have events and raise funds. And then when I was a teenager, I became part of a group where we had car washes, etc. on the weekend. We bought a bus so that we could take all the local kids to the beach directly on weekends and then have school camps during the holidays. I went on from there and was fundraising in my first year. I left school for Cerebral Palsy Alliance. And then was head of the parents and friends at the school. So it's always been part of my life.
Yeah, great.
Probably piggybacking off mum and dad. They work for Disability Services Commission for sort of 40-odd years. I think that as much of it being a job, I think it's also giving back in a really healthy way. And I suppose being one of three boys, we always had those clients in our house, and I think it's special to give people time. Time's just as important as anything else. So, yeah.
Yeah, great, thanks. All right, Steve, I'm going to start with a question for you. So if we pass the mic down. I guess with a startup, the early days can be pretty tough, and giving back often takes a bit of a backseat to product, to scaling, to profit, to survival. What made you prioritise this in your business, and when did that shift happen?
I worked in the US in 98, 99 and 2000, and I've seen what happens when you don't. That to me was a real eye-opener of real corporate greed. I worked in California in that time, and that was, as an employee, I saw the impact on not only myself but others who were working for these organisations. And, I don't know that we really felt that we wanted to... I was quite happy to be in California, but I don't think we really wanted to be working for those organisations. So when I eventually sort of moved to Australia and I had to rethink my career, I didn't intend to start my own business, but I did meet with a very like-minded persons at that stage that when we started business and well, at least one of the most successful... Hi. Oh, that's quieter than my house in here. When we started business, we just agreed that fundamental to the business operating was its community spirit. So whether it's giving back your time, money and so forth. I mean, you can give time to start with. That's very important. You might not have much money. And I've had plenty of businesses that have lost money, so it's good to, have time as well spent. So we really focused on that. We really focused on that when we started.
So other than the kind of that negative experience of what you saw, businesses that were, driven by, a single dimension being, generating wealth for a small number of people. Why was it a crucial part of the setup of your business and, one of the pillars of your particular business?
I think I always feel better when I'm helping somebody else. I know that's a bit memey, but it's like, hopefully you feel better when you help somebody else than you do helping yourself. I mean, if you feel better helping yourself, I think you're probably in the wrong place, but that's why I would do any of it. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel better. And, I don't really think about the cost of time. I just think about the impact to somebody else. So that's why I would do it.
Thanks, Steve. I might come back to that point a little bit later as well. Louise, I'm going to go to you next, if that's okay. A lot of founders will feel that they need to wait until they're established and they've scaled up and they're generating really predictable income and revenue in order to decide to give back. What are some, in your experience working, in your current business, but other not-for-profits as well, and your experience with a lot of philanthropists and donors, what are some low-cost and high-impact ways startups can contribute early on in their journey?
Yeah. I think what Steve's just said is bang on, and Matt's also mentioned time. But I think, on the wall over there it says, "What's your story?" And I think that when people are in establishing a startup, and for all of you out there, I talk about our sector, our profit for purpose sector, as being in eternal startup mode. In no other sector will you have the scrutiny looking over your shoulder at how you run your business. And nowhere else in the world do you have to be as lean and as innovative and as fast and agile as you do in our sector, if you're a high performer. There are people who don't perform in all sectors, so there are also those in our sector. But what I think you need to do is, people are everything in business, okay? And technology, there's loads of technology people here. Technology enables more of the human. And what the humans that you're employing and are seeking to employ, and you all want to, the competition for talent is huge. We all need to be attracting the best talent. And the talent expects you to be an organisation that's giving back. So you need to start with this as being part of your story right up front. It needs to be authentic. It needs to be part of who you are as an organisation. And the people, the talent coming towards you, they demand it. And so you need to be wearing your heart on your sleeve. And I would say that it should be one of the very first things you do is consider this. And consider it not just for who you are right now. Think about where you need to go into the future. Because are you an organisation that's always going to stay local here in Perth? Then you've got your charity here. The pitch was earlier. If you're an organisation that thinks you're going to be statewide, if you're a national organisation, ponder those things too as part of what you do when you choose. So from my perspective, there is time, there's commitment. I mean, I'm going to talk a little bit later, I think, about the 1%. But things like that are a concept, a really powerful concept. They cost you nothing at day one, okay? And if ultimately it means you deliver a huge amount to a charity, it means you've been wildly successful. So ain't that a good thing? So from my perspective, you can start, and there are many things that you can do, but you really need to think about it, because if you want to attract the best talent, you need to have that in your story, because that the talent will be asking you about it.
Yeah, thanks, Louise. And we heard a really simple example earlier around if you get a graduate giving you a call, give them some time, give them an opportunity, give them a chance. It's a way of giving you back and paying it forward. So that's a really simple, easy way as well.
I think it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
I think you actually have to have been more strategic. You need to do that as well. And but I think you need to have thought about that in a more holistic way.
Yeah, great advice. Thanks, Louise. Matt, we'll come to you next. When a startup is a crazy time. It's a real roller coaster. It's a contact sport. It's not sitting down and hoping things happen. You have to work really fast. And so startup founders face a constant pressure to move fast and stay lean. In your experience, how do you balance business growth with long-term impact?
Yeah, it's a challenge, I won't lie. Look, I think, Louise mentioned strategy. Strategy and planning is super important in business. There's a lot of pressure to deliver. There's cash flow pressures. I think you need to have a guiding light, a North Star, and I think you can develop that with strategic planning, holistic planning. You need to incorporate not only your purpose and vision for your product or your service, but I think you need to have some really sound financial sort of budgeting in place. I think building a business in stages, achieving milestones, breaking it down, supported by sort of really astute planning, supports you to then go and enjoy running your business. That's why you're in it. You're passionate about your business. I think strategy and planning needs to be strong, and it needs to be meaningful planning and achievable planning as well.
Have you ever faced a situation where you've had to look at that trade-off between growth and an opportunity with balancing, the values and the purpose aspect of the business?
I won't lie, yes, of course. It's tough. New business, it's super emotional. There's a lot of pressure. There's financial pressure, emotional pressure, etc. I think you need to build some flexibility into your business. We need to pivot. We need to adapt to opportunity, changes in market, etc. Of course, we're faced with a lot of challenges. Like I said, that North Star, that guiding vision, we need to stay true to that. And we need to lean on our community around us to support our business and our operations.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Zoe, I'll go to you next. You've had a lot of experience with in not-for-profits, in philanthropy. You've had experience in seeing lots of different businesses in your business right now, the executive coaching and facilitation. What advice would you give a founder who wants to build purpose and philanthropy into their business model from day one?
Look, I think it comes back to a little bit of what Louise said and a little bit of what Steve said. We've got choices from the very start to build philanthropy into our strategy, and also whether we want to give time, talent or treasure, or a combination of those things. And certainly for my husband and I in our business, which is very young, it was important to us to give back from day one and for that to be part of our business values. Having said that, there is also no such thing as a selfless good deed. It feels good. Steve alluded to that as well. And there are business benefits in it as well. So align it to your strategy. Education is incredibly important to us. And when I was at Breast Cancer Care WA, we were lucky enough to receive a grant to put our team through $20,000 worth of learning and development with the Institute of Management here. That's something that would have been out of reach for us as a for-purpose organisation. So one of Matt and my first decisions was to sponsor that award so that more charities would have access to that grant. That then generated business benefits for us. We met people in the room. Our customers know our values as a business in terms of giving back. We have generated more business out of that. So, you can give back and also use it to deliver on your business strategy. I think it needs to be authentic. It needs to be in line with your business values. And it's also part of the reason why I volunteer time on the Rottnest board now. That's part of our passion, but it also benefits the business.
Yep, that's really great. And I love that time, talent or treasure. Great 3 categories to think about. Maybe some questions will come out of the audience out of that as well. Outside of your own organisation, Zoe, is there a cause, a charity or a social initiative that you've seen that you really admire?
Look, there are countless causes. My passions are children and women's health. I continue to support Starlight. I continue to support Breast Cancer Care WA. I have built into that education, as I said, with the Institute of Management. They're a for-purpose non-profit organisation as well. And then, overlaying that with things like conservation, protecting our world for our children tomorrow. There are just so many great causes. And like Louise said, some of them are very local, very niche, and some of them are worldwide.
Yeah, great, thanks. Louise, you did mention a second ago around this idea of the 1% pledge. Really keen to see maybe if you can give a quick description of what that is and some examples that you've seen and, and what impact that has had.
Yeah, this was driven by Warren Buffett in the States, and it's the 1-1-1. So you give 1% of your time. So it's back to the what Zoe was just talking about. You give 1% of your profit and 1% of your equity. And we actually, and the thing about this is, that's nothing when you're a startup. Okay, there's a zero value on all of those things. One example that I can share with you is our partnership with Cash Rewards. Cash Rewards came to us, the 2 founders of Cash Rewards, and said, we want to be an organisation which gives back, which wears our heart on our sleeve, and we want to partner with Starlight in this way. Now, part of that, because we've also touched on the fact of mutual benefit, when I'm talking to any corporates, any startups, we need to drive this. This needs to be mutually beneficial. if this is going to work. So you need to be thinking about what's in it for you, okay? Obviously, our brand, the Starlight brand, is very strong. We're one of the top 10 most trusted brands in Australia. That's brands, not charity brands. So we are charity brands in Australia come, I think, 1 to 13, and then the first most trusted corporate starts at about 14. So we're in the top 10 most trusted brands in Australia. We have high brand awareness. We support families. You won't go very far without finding a family that hasn't been impacted by Starlight, because children are seriously and hospitalised in every postcode around Australia. Okay, so we're really broad-reaching, and it also turned out that their son had cancer and had been supported by Starlight when he was a child. So they came to us and said, we want to do this from day one. Now, you have to wait. From our perspective, we look at the risk, because we don't want to be partnering with some dodgy startup that's going to get lots of media if they go south. So for us, there's a risk analysis associated there, because our brand is everything. And I remember walking out of that meeting and saying, well, at this stage, it's 1% of nothing, but who knows where this could go. And they're so authentic and real about how they want this to be. If you fast forward to today, Cash Rewards has donated in excess of $2 million to Starlight. We are an integral part of the company. They have their staff involved. You know, they get Christmas presents together. They go in and give them to kids at Christmas time. They are involved as a team right around the country as they've grown in our Super Swim and our Super Steps. They actually pull their own thing together, which they call a Joyathon, and they have people through a certain time frame that that are involved in a multiple of different sports for Starlight. They conduct the walk so that they walk to our hub, and they all end up in our hub, and we have a bit of a celebration, because celebrating is really important too. We surprised them when they hit the $2 million mark. They were having a conference, and one person there knew, but nobody else knew. And we did a bit of a mob of Starlight team and our captain Starlights in to celebrate and thank them. At Christmas parties, they have all of their customers. So they wear their heart on their sleeve for their customers, and that builds their relationships with their customers. And Cash Rewards is incredibly customer-centric. And that really matched with us, because so is Starlight. Every decision we make at Starlight is based on, will this be better for the children and young people we support? Every decision. So they aligned. So the alignment was amazing. When they rang the bell at the ASX, when they were listed, they invited us to be part of the people to help them ring the bell. And as soon as that bell rang and they listed, we received $450,000 worth of shares. So there's your equity. So we're just an integral part of Cash Rewards, and we have lots of other examples in that space. And we've had partners where we've started and it hasn't gone where we thought it would go. And we've had partners where, then they refuse to pay us even though they've used our brand. So we've had the good, the bad and the ugly. But you have to weigh up those risks up front, and you have to move with it. But I think that 1-1-1, because it is about time, and you can give that time early. So volunteering, their team started doing that. They wore it on their sleeve when they were trying to attract the best talent, and they were absolutely authentic and committed to it, and we were aligned.
What a great story. That's an excellent example. Thanks so much, Louise. Last of the sort of formal questions, and I'll hit you up, Steve, if that's okay. If you had one wish for the next generation of WA founders and how they link purpose into their businesses, what would that be?
I don't do any wishing, but I would say that I think we've probably already said it in terms of I think it feels better when you give than when you receive. And I would echo everybody's points so far. All of my connections to Starlight and the other charities that I've been involved in, or for-purpose organisations. The other thing that I talk about is the UWA mentoring group, which has been phenomenally, I think, just paying it forward in terms of that, it's been excellent, is that it comes back to help you, right? And so as a startup, don't wait until later, think about it now, think about what you're going to do, engage it, and it will help you, it will help you. Can feel like you're giving it out, but it will come back.
That's
To
great.
answer your question.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Thanks, Steve.
Oh, thanks, mate.
All right, we'll open it up to some questions. Hopefully people have fulfilled their role in that. So I'll go to the back. You guys hang on to the... If you could just mention who you are and if there's a question to a specific person.
Good morning. Thank you for the presentation. My name is Conrad. I've got a startup called Passport for Change, where the individual, me and you, take action against sustainability, any of the sustainability development goals. We want to build up a verified sustainability profile for the individual. I would like to ask the panel whether there would be interest from the panel if individuals apply for opportunities at your company with a verified sustainability profile. Would you consider that as a differentiator for your candidates? Thank you.
Thanks, Conrad. Who wants to go?
We've just launched our sustainability strategy. Now, as a charity, we have to watch this space because we're not a charity. Our charity is about happiness and brightening the lives of seriously ill children. So if we veer from that, we risk losing our DGR status. So we can't become a charity that's about climate change. However, we support children and young people. There is enormous mental stress and anxiety being caused with these people because of their concern for the future. So we must be good corporate citizens. Now, we've just launched our strategy and we operate within the health system, so we're kind of linked. We can't do too much to change because health is has a huge carbon footprint. We don't because we're not actually manufacturing. We look for champions within our organisation. But what we have to manage is that's not our core business. So if we have zealots who are kind of taking us off track all the time, we need to make sure we manage that. So I suppose I'd need to understand exactly what the Passport was doing because I'll be really honest, if they were champions and passionate about it, that's great. But if they take us into the zealot area and they're trying to move everything in that direction, then that's going to undermine what we do.
Great. Thanks, Louise. Next one.
It's actually more of a lot of these guys are going to be and girls are going to be sat here thinking, I'm a startup, I'm literally just struggling to pay my wage. But I think one of the things that we've seen in the ecosystem is who thinks an accountant is sexy? Accountants think they're sexy, right? I've actually looked at this area, so all these guys they're looking like, how can I incorporate philanthropy into my business model, right? There are lots of use cases out there, and I'm literally looking around the room going, how can you do it? And I'm looking at yours, for example. There's an example in Brisbane where an accountancy company, they were just starting out, they're like, how do we differentiate ourselves? They created a campaign called 1,000 or 1,000,000 days, or a day for a day, or something like that. It was essentially they're saying, for every dollar that you spend with us or that we save you on tax, we will give that dollar in helping somebody in Africa get access to clean water and food and that. Their business had triple-digit growth within the first year. They literally went off the radar because what they did is they used philanthropy as a way to gain customers because customers going, well, I'm going to use an accountant. Well, I might as well use one that's good for me, right? And so you need to bake that into your model. And I'm going to use you as an example. You could bake into your model, and it's part of your customer acquisition cost. You just bake a small snippet into it. For every dollar that we spend, we'll give a meal to a homeless person. It's very easy to do it when you're thinking about your model. So, because otherwise you're going to get this blocker like I did. I don't know how to do it because I just know all I need to understand is how do I pay for myself. But if you put it in at the grassroots, it's part of there. It's baked in. Sorry. No question.
Great comment, though. All right, we've got one over here. I'll just get the microphone over.
Thank you. My name is Arman Talwar. I've got extensive experience working for startups, helping them capital raising and grow businesses. So let me give you an example, not a question for you, but an example of what I've seen in India. One startup, healthcare startup, in fact, the founders had this vision of being philanthropic, plus also being the way of giving back. So in the charter of the company's document, they had specifically created a clause saying that whatever we will do, we will have to give back to the society. So it came in the inception of the company that one has to look at it, correct? Not from the day you start making revenue or profit. It has to come from the day you start thinking about your idea. What exactly they did is something similar to what Dave said. They said, if you are my vendor and you're going to put me a cost, let's say it's an accountant, correct? He's given $100 cost. He said, we will reduce your cost by 1%. We will pay you 99, but that $1 will go towards a charity. So that's what they did. And a lot of people started working with them. Exactly the same thing what Dave said. If you start doing such small things, it really matters to the society. So I think whenever anyone, I've seen a lot of people creating startups here, but make sure you put it up in your charter itself, saying that you're going to give back to the society. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got one here.
Hi, my name's Lou. One of the hats that I wear is as a board member for Hero Hunter Foundation, and we are a charity that provide practical support to families of children who've got childhood cancer. Very new, so we're about to have our 3rd birthday, which is very exciting. So I have a question for each of the panel. If you can give us, as a foundation, one quick piece of advice of what would make it easy, in your opinion, for us to engage with corporates around growing our volunteer base or growing support for our foundation. We know that we need to make it easy, and we're looking for all advice on how to do that, because we're at a point of now starting to do some outreach for some more support.
Real quick on each one. I think it's all about networking. So you're in a network here. So it's getting it out there, throwing it out there, being passionate about it, and asking other people for help, right? So not that many people actually do it. I'm quite happy. We were at Telethon on Friday morning, and maybe two people came to me and said, "Can you help me?" And I said, "Yeah, okay." But so just ask for help, and as you have here, I suppose, but more in a direct way, and then somebody will give you ideas. No such thing as a bad idea, I think, for your, and that's an amazing thing that you have. It's incredible.
Hello, Lou. I would agree with Steve. I would ask everyone you can for advice. You know, whenever you ask for advice, it's an opportunity for people to get involved. And I think, you know, you've got to put it out there and comfortably and passionately. People want to help.
I'm very much ask, don't get. So if you don't ask, you don't get. And if you've got to, so ask for anything and everything. And people will never say no, or say, no, you're a horrible person, I'm saying no to you. They'll say, no, I can't do it at this point in time, but let me. So that play it forward idea that we heard earlier, that's what people will say. Unfortunately, volunteering's on the decline at the moment, and we're really reviewing our volunteering. It's post-COVID. Volunteering has, because a lot of volunteering was stopped during COVID, people are now working differently, and so volunteering is something we're reviewing at the moment. We also have the overlay that we're working in the hospital environment, and the hospitals have introduced more compliance post-COVID, and also removed, we used to be able to have senior high school students work for us on weekends and holidays. They've lifted the age to 18, so we've lost all of those students who used to work for us. So it's an area we're struggling with at the moment, so I wish you luck. And the one thing that we don't want from corporates is a lot of bigger corporates have, this day is our corporate volunteering day, and we want to do things for you on this day. Most useless thing on earth. So is Duke of Ed. Duke of Ed is, 2 hours a week or something. By the time you've got a person into your operation in any way and briefed them, and then it's time for them to go home. So it's really useless. We need to review that. And also the one day, like they want to all paint a fence or, plant a tree or something. It doesn't work for lots of organisations.
Yeah, I think, like everyone here said, networks, you need to leverage your networks. And I think you also need to communicate clearly that it's not just money. It's time, stuff and money. Within your network, I'm sure there's a handful of people that can offer each one of those to your cause. Yep.
I might add a chip in as well. I think it's also really important to understand alignment, so strategic alignment, values alignment. So just don't, it's the same thing as if you're looking for customers or a market and targeting a market, you've got to be pretty targeted. So understand what the values of that business, that corporate are. Also understand the background of the people leading that business on the board and the executive team, because they'll have their own interests and you could waste a lot of time targeting organisations that aren't aligned with what your particular charity is as well. I think we've got a few more minutes. If we've got any more questions, Got one here. I'll come back to you, okay? Go at the back.
Hi, my name's Morgan and I'm the co-founder of InSync, and what we do is match people with the right therapist for them. So a bit like a dating app, but for a therapist, and we focus on like personality, not just availability. But my co-founder's a therapist, and what we do is she donates her time to give therapy to people in need. So that's a way we're giving back, and like our whole vision is to make mental health care accessible to everyone. So purpose is a big part of why we do what we do. But I guess I'm interested if there's any like ways we should be setting up our business, even like we've considered setting up our own foundation like separately, and if you have any like advice around how we structure our business to make sure purpose is like ingrained.
Yeah, I think I made a point about planning and strategy, and I think authentic purpose is where you start. So I think it's building blocks. I think it's hold fast, stay on track, hit that North Star. And, we come up with different ideas along the way, but we need to make sure that they align with the core purpose of what you're trying to do.
Don't start another charity, another foundation. I counsel everyone who wants to start a charity when they come to me to say, look for another organisation which aligns with what you want to do, and become a fundraiser kind of, or a support for those. And you're giving incredibly valuable support there, because then you don't have, we're not fragmenting the market. And what we've done, so for example, we had a parent of a child who had passed away who came to us. They were interested in maybe starting their own charity. We said, why would you not do this? So we actually have a whole page on our website. When it's her birthday every year, they go out to all their friends, and it goes directly. It has her story, all her pictures. It's there. You can't generally find it, but her family and friends, they send the link out and they make donations in that way. That means there's not any duplication of overheads, etc., and compliance is just, spiralling out of control at the moment. So I would say do it that way. And the other thing I say is, we talk about time not being money. Time is money. And we can actually put onto our revenue donated goods and services for our programs. So it actually sits as a revenue line on our in our P&L. So it is money as well. It's a donation of a different kind, but it's a donation.
Great. Well, I might we'll have one more question and then we'll wrap it up.
Hello. I think Louise has actually just addressed mine, but I was wondering if there's other forms of and structures of incorporating it into your business plan from the start that we haven't addressed so far. We've talked about, the 1% and different allocations of time, talent and treasure. But is there anything else, I guess, before we wrap up, that people can do if they're setting up businesses now to incorporate that from the start, and whether it's now or later? And also separately, actually, it seems like a lot of people here are incorporating stuff already, which is wonderful, and might be great to get a show of hands from the audience of who is already incorporating philanthropy into their business plans here.
All right, we might do that first. Show of hands, anyone who's actually started to incorporate that into their business? Well, it's kind of 40-50%, so that's a really good start. That's great.
It's beautiful to see that you're all thinking about this. I think something we probably haven't touched on yet is look at what your core business is and how you can use your talent, your superpower, whatever you're doing in business to help other for-purpose organisations. So, for example, my core business is executive coaching. That is something that is not accessible to everybody. So I have a for-purpose rate, which is significantly discounted. I still make enough to cover my admin and my hour, but it's not a commercial rate. But that's, the discount is a gift as well. And if it's a significant discount, the charity or the for-purpose organisation can access something they would not otherwise have been able to access for their team or for their cause. That is also giving. So when you're in startup mode and you do have to put food on the table and make a few dollars, not charging commercial rates can be a great way to help causes.
Just don't do it if you don't believe in it. And so I spent a lot of time in hospital when I was a child. I felt very passionately about children's health. My early memories of sitting on wards and trying to play with the toys that we had under a bed compared to what Starlight has now in terms of its rooms and captains is absolutely incredible. So don't try and force it. Find something that you naturally would support, that's part of your life, and then you will find that will flourish because you are not forcing it. I would say the same of joining any boards. Don't just go because you want to tick a box that says I've been on a board. It has to be aligned with what you feel, and that is really important to you.
I think that's great. Final words. So thanks, Steve. Thanks, everyone, for your engagement, for excellent questions. Hit us up afterwards. We're hanging around for a little while. And, of course, you can hit us up either through Morning Startup or, obviously, there's a thing called LinkedIn, and I'm sure people would be more than happy to answer any questions you might come through. So thanks for the opportunity, Morning Startup. Really appreciate it. Space Cube, great organisation, support it. And we'll wrap it up. Thanks very much. Hand over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve, and to this amazing panel. One more round of applause. Thank you, guys. We'll let you stretch your legs. And we now enter my favourite part of Morning Startup, which is everyone gets to know each other and have a chat and enjoy the food and the coffee and all of that stuff. But don't forget, in 2 weeks' time, we've got the Pitch Your Startup event. So if you're interested in pitching, doing 3 minutes, you'll be clapped out at the 3-minute mark. It's very strict and get grilled by Dave, who's knacked off. Yeah, love to hear from you. So contact at morningstartup.com with a short description of your startup, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. But thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you.